tell it's been a while. Hey guys, how you going? Welcome to the stream. First Handsanding Shenanigans stream I've done in a while. Unfortunately, I'm going to be speaking relatively quietly because the rest of my family is asleep. This will have to do. Might actually have to sand these backwards. That's going to be interesting. How do I clean it? That's cool, man. That's good news. Jesus. Loud noises. Let's see. Me and my shenanigans. That's... How you doing, lads and ladies? Fair enough. Thank you for dropping in. Well, that would mean that I'm going to be streaming for 2 hours, which probably isn't going to happen. Move you over so you can see what I'm doing. Maybe over here. Look at that, you can actually see what I'm doing. Yeah, Stefan, absolutely. Normally, obviously, I stream in the mornings on Saturdays, but I'm not going to be streaming this week because I've got the medieval reenactment event, so I figured I'd give you guys a short stream that you can join in on. I'm just going to punch a hole in this. All good, Yamas. Thanks for dropping in, buddy. Yes, I'll be using my Viking anvil at the event. Trying to find all my hand sanding gear because I haven't done it for a while. Hey, Ziguan, how you doing? Hey, Michael. I'm going to be back in 2 seconds, guys. I think I left my sanding bar out in the workshop. Oh. Yep. Classic Sam. I'm not too bad, man. Found it. What are we all up to today? Fun, fun, fun. Hey, Saber, how you going? Yeah, fair enough, Sigwan. It's always good to chill out after a heavy day. Here we go. Ah. Just when things aren't going right. And apparently I don't have a pair of pliers in reach. Hey Daniel, how you going? Yeah, Sigwan. Have a good night, mate. This one is a feasting knife, so steak knife, I suppose you could call it. It's actually not one that I made. This one was given to me to refurbish. It was in pretty poor condition when I got it. Hey Ma, how you doing, mate? Yeah, editing software is fun. What's happening, people? Got 4 people watching. No, not yet, Daniel. That's starts tomorrow. Yeah, Scotch Brite's good. Hey, Randy, how you going, mate? I saw that baseball you made, man. It looked awesome. Thanks. I didn't actually make it. Folder making. Folders are fun. Yeah, folders can be a lot of fun. Yeah, I can imagine it was a challenge. Yeah, these I didn't actually make these. These were handed to me to refurbish. They were in pretty bad condition. They were actually made by another local bladesmith. Well, not not actually a bladesmith, a knife maker. Um, they are unhardened stainless steel. This stuff is so soft, it's ridiculous. Like you can bend it with your fingers. They're really not good at all. But the owners really wanted them refurbished. Horn, it's Horn. buffalo horn. Unfortunately, you can see that the person who made this ground the pins quite aggressively, and yeah, and burned the horn. I'm trying to get good lighting on it. Yeah, tried and actually burned the horn around the pins. Something you got to be really careful of with horn handles. But yeah, it's a bit difficult. Or just careless, yes. Indeed. Gonna take them to the buffer tomorrow. Yeah, there's only so much you can do with this kind of stuff. I tried to tell the person that I was refurbishing these for that they really weren't worth refurbishing, but they were ardent because they were made by a friend of theirs, so I did my best. Hand sanded them to 400 grit, and I'll polish them with a red and then a green rouge tomorrow, and that'll buff them up to a bright mirror polish. They are very nice letter openers, that is correct. Stinky. Cheers, Mike Roll. Have a good one, mate. Yeah, horn always stinks. Back to sanding. This is actually one of the blades from the lead up to the Perth Knife Show, if you guys remember that. Hey, Kenneth. Yeah. This blade goes a ways back. I'm planning on going back through my list, finishing off all those blades that I didn't finish. I started the guards on all of these back then. I'm actually going to trade this. Ow. I'm actually going to trade sanding pins. Trade it out to my long sanding pin that is actually meant for this. As you can see. Yeah, cool. Excuse me. Oh, that sucks. Hopefully so. I'm waiting to hear from the other two guys that ordered the guillotine tool. Hopefully one of them, at least one of them, asked, puts in the deposit, and that way I can get started on the tools. And that's the 400 grit. Yeah, it's a great starting hammer. It's not. Um, I use a 2 pound rounding hammer daily. It's actually my favorite hammer to swing daily. This is a 2 pound rounder. I think this one's just a tad under 2 pounds. It's more like 1.75, but it's been slightly upset. I've actually got it sitting right here, funnily enough. But yeah, it's a nice little hammer. It's got mirror finish faces. That looks rough, but it's actually because the linseed oil, because it's all coated in linseed oil to keep it from rusting. But yeah, these are a great starter hammer. With the flat face and the rounding face, you can do a lot of work. And obviously with the radiused edges, you can actually get some good peen work going as well, without having to use a cross peen or a straight peen, because I square my rounding faces. Hey, Smell the Dragon, how you going? Like I said in the ad, it's been discounted. It's not because it's physically bad, but because the head, it was just came out a little bit wonky. The rounding face kind of tilts up a little bit. The flat face is perfectly fine, but the rounding face just tilts up a little. It really doesn't make a difference to the usability of it, but just the aesthetic quality. So I discounted it. But yeah, this is still a really good hammer. I think it would serve really well. And like I said, this pretty much, this one pretty much mirrors the one that I use every day for most of my forging. Similar size handle and all. Other good starter hammers are like the Norse style blacksmith hammers. This one's an octagonal. This one's got a bit of a thicker. This one's got a bit of thicker peen. This is a 2 pound. But I really like the stouter peens because they tend to make a really nice peening action rather than the thin, sharp peens. While they're good for getting into tight spaces, most of the time when you're forging that kind of stuff, you want a decently rounded peen. Yeah, German patterns are cool. I haven't made a German pattern. Then I've got a 3 pound or a 1.5 kilo hammer. This is the, again, Norse style, Viking style. This one again has that quite nice, large, rounded peen, and a nice wide face. You can see the camera in the face. But yeah, so I use one of these pretty much every day as well. A 2.5 pound version. But yeah, this one's a 3 pound or 1.5 kilo. They're pretty good starter hammers. But yeah, rounding hammer, cross peen, straight peen, they're all decent starter hammers. So yeah, at the moment I'm working on a Scandinavian style puko. I just finished 400 grit. But yeah. Hey BF Bladeworks, unfortunately not really. Here in Perth, you end up with basically having to purchase from Gamaco. Bowler Erdelholm, now Vostal Alpine, used to sell blade steels, but now they no longer stock it because there was just no market for it. So now they only stock industrial style steels, which sucks. Yeah, it's a bit tough to get blade steel here in Perth. Most of the blade steels I get are from either Gamaco. So Gamaco Fire Pants Fabrication sells SUP 9, which is a 5160 equivalent. I've bought from him before. He's the one I get my die steel from for the guillotine tools. Other than that, I've purchased blade steel from like America and stuff like that. It's ridiculous getting hold of decent amounts of steel. It's one of the reasons I use so much SUP 9 in my work is because it's the easiest steel I have to get access to. But yeah, you're basically stuck with Gamaco at this point. New Jersey Steel Baron won't sell in small lots anymore, and they won't sell internationally except to large companies like Gamaco, which is where Gamaco gets all its steel. It gets them from NJSB. So, yeah, Cameco's your way to go. This one's going to have a semi-traditional stick type handle. So yeah, it's going to be a more semi-traditional kind of blade. I was thinking of maybe doing some faceting on the handle for fun. Yeah, it is a real pain sourcing blade steel. Ma did point out car springs, and that is one way you can get semi-decent blade steel. Not the greatest. But yeah, you're definitely lacking in choices. I do recycle quite a bit of my steel from other things, but I get mine mass spectrometed from by MJ Metalworks in Spearwood. They do mass spectrometry for steel. So if I find unknown steel all of the time, I'll take it to them and get it spectrometed to find out exactly what steel it is. Like recently picked up a whole bunch of these out of a large roller bearing that had broken, and these are all mass spectrometed as 50-100, so they're actually a pretty decent blade steel. And I've got a number of these, larger ones and smaller ones. Just need to forge them out. Yes, you can order from Jantz, but the shipping is ridiculous. Yeah, leaf spring, as I said, leaf spring is a decent steel for beginners. And if you can get it mass spectrometed to make sure that it is exactly a certain type of steel, then you basically use it as known steel, which is what I do. Yes, I believe it's MJ Metalworks. I might have to double check that. I get it subcontracted through Tobias Industries, so I give my steel to Tobias Industries, and he takes it and gives it to, I think it's MJ Metalworks. I might be completely misconstruing that. They're in Bibra Lake, Spearwood, somewhere around there. Can't remember if they're in Bibra Lake or Spearwood. They're on that border. But yeah. Hey, Pickled Hammer, man. Thank you for joining the stream. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a boring one tonight. I'm just doing a bit of hand sanding and winding down from the day. It's been a hell of a day. Trying to get prepared for the event tomorrow, which is a massive pain in my ass, if I'm honest. So tired. So very, very tired. So this live stream is to replace... This stream is to replace the stream that I normally have on Saturdays. Unfortunately, I will not be available on Saturday, so I'm doing this. I'm going to try and get a live stream running from the medieval reenactment show I'm doing, but the cell signal out there is ridiculously stupid, so more than likely I'll end up just videoing my event. I plan on doing some pretty awesome stuff though, so keep an eye out for that in the future. And Brian, well, it's not my fault you're at work. At least I'm not dropping anything, so you don't have to drink for me. Well, you could if you wanted to, but, you know. Oh yeah, you'll see it. You know, I'll video some and make sure I put a video up. That'll probably be next week's video. Because I'm not going to have time to film anything else in the meantime, so that'll be next week's video. Me doing some pretty cool stuff. How I prepare for a show. Scramble around at the last minute to collect up every single one of my tools, cram them all in my quench tank, chuck it all in the car, hope that I didn't forget anything and then drive like mad to get to the event at the very last minute. That's pretty much how I get set up. That is sadly accurate, and unfortunately, but yeah, no, basically, the way I've been preparing for this show has been knocking out as much stock as I can. You know, these hammers that I've been making. Needed some stock for the table, and also wanted to put some stuff on my Etsy store, so that's why I've got these. Been preparing. There's actually a custom. These are this refurbishment that I'm doing is actually a custom order. The same person who ordered this, which you guys will remember from an earlier video, the rapier guard. So yeah, just getting all that prepared. Made the nail header. That's part of my kit for. Thanks. It's all part of my kit for the Viking style forge I've got set up. Unfortunately, I did have plans to have bag bellows, which are the more traditional Viking style bellows. But unfortunately, I ran out of time with the police investigation and all that kind of stuff going on. I've not had the time to get any of that organized, so I'm just going to have to go with the old rotary, the crank blower. My timber. So when I'm normally making hammers, and thanks for joining the stream, Ross. Sorry, didn't say that, but hello and thank you for joining the stream. Normally I use spotted gum. So on these hammers, you can see you get some really nice curly grain in spotted gum sometimes. This one's got particularly nice grain. So spotted gum's one of my favourite handle materials. It's a native Australian wood. Grows quite often here in WA. Very hard wood, very good. And that's what I use for like 99.9% of my hammers. The only other wood I've used for hammer handles. Well, I didn't make it for you, Ma. That's a 3-pound dog's head. 3-pound dog's head. You don't have to use them, Ma. They're not for you. Yes, I've used ash as well, actually. Funnily enough, these two are, this one and this one are handled with ash. European ash. They're probably from, the ash is probably from Germany. Or Scandinavia somewhere. I picked it up from a, thanks, Melted Dragon. Yeah, so I did use ash for these, given that they are Viking hammers. Yeah, given that these are Viking hammers, I figured European ash is a good one. You'd hope, Stefan, but I don't think so. So these are the only ash handles I've ever done. These and my cutler's hammer, which is out in the workshop. So therefore I have run out of ash now, so I'm back to using spotted gum. I do prefer spotted gum. It's a little bit more dense, a little bit harder than ash, so it lasts a bit longer. Yes, and long handles is something that I really enjoy. Especially because with a small 2-pound head like this, with a decently long handle, you can get some real leverage behind your swing, which gives you a really nice impact. Because if you've got a really short handle, then there's not much impetus behind the blow. Whereas if you've got that extra leverage, because this is just a lever, you know, all the handle is a lever. You know, if leverage wasn't a thing, then you could literally just hold the head in your hand and smack things, which I've seen people do, but you remove all leverage. The further away from your hand you get it, the faster the head is going to be moving, which means more impetus. So with these, I left the handles as long as I possibly could, so that you can get some serious wallop. And I can move some really big metal with a little 2-pound like this. Um, it's not too bad, Smolder Dragon. Like, I mean, shipping to the US from Australia, given that we're on the exact opposite side of the world, is always going to be a little bit expensive. But realistically, it's not much worse than shipping to England, to be honest. Um, I mean, the big thing is that, yeah, the longer handles, just because you have a long handle doesn't mean you have to use the whole handle. You can swing it from midway down, you can swing it from all the way up here. Having the option to go all the way back is really important, and the smaller the hammer, the easier it is to use with a long handle, because it's all about leverage at the end of the day. If you've got a really big head on the end of a really long handle, then that's a lot of weight to try and control out at the end. Whereas with a smaller head, like a 2-pounder, um, um, I'm, technically a short handle makes it easier to aim your hammer because you have less deviation. You know, because this is a lever, you're applying increased force from this end to this end. So therefore this end has more weight behind the blow, but it also means that there's more leverage on the pivot, which is your hand. So therefore there is more likely to be horizontal deviation. So therefore, with a long handle, if your hammer control isn't very good, then a long handle is going to emphasize your misplaced blows. So a short handle in that case, or shortening your handle by holding it closer, is going to make it easier for you to direct your blows and easier for you to control the hammer. But having that long handle means that as you grow in confidence, as you grow in accuracy, having that ability to get that extra impetus behind the blow means that you can get some really nice metal moving going from a relatively small hammer like this 2-pounder. Rich enough. I'm not charging that. A dog's head. Well, unfortunately you missed the 2 little 2-pound dog's heads. I'm gonna have to make a. I've already had a couple people contact me about those Cutler's hammers. So I'm gonna probably make a run. Yeah, well, shortening your grip. I mean, I've heard people say that, people who shorten their grip are crap smiths. It's not true. Um, it's just purely learning. Thanks, Mer. Always good to see you. Yeah, but I like all different kinds of hammers. Like, my favorite kind of hammer, if I had a favorite, it would be dog's heads. Obviously, you all know that. Dog's heads have always been close to my heart. But that being said, dog's heads are not the be-all and end-all when it comes to hammers. Because I actually only use a dog's head for about, 30% of my forging. The rest of my forging is done with a rounding hammer or a crossbeam hammer. So, even though dog's heads are my favorite hammers, I still get a lot of use out of other hammers. My daily forger is a rounding hammer that I made. A really crappy rounding hammer that I made and that I need to refit. That I completely need to redo, actually. Need to make myself a new one. But yeah, so a rounding hammer about this size, funnily enough. This is actually almost identical to the one I use every day. And yeah, it's a perfect medium weight hammer. It's not going to tire your arm out. It's not going to wear you out too fast. But it's big enough that it'll move some serious material. And if you watched my live stream making a hammer eye punch, I used my rounding hammer to do pretty much 100% of the forging on that hammer eye punch, which was made out of 32mm 4140 round stock. So, you can move some serious metal with a small hammer like this with a decent length handle. We actually have a dog's head sledge in the works. We were originally going to make a 10 kilo, but I don't have a 10 kilo. I don't have a 10 kilo billet. So we're going to go with a 7-pound billet that I've got. I've got a 7-pound billet there of 4140. And we're going to make a dog's head sledgehammer, Japanese style. But that's going to take some serious forging, and at the moment I need to get some orders under my belt. I need to get some money coming in, because at the moment I am seriously hurting for money. So, yeah, it's going to have to take a back seat. That's why hammers. Hammers. And, yeah, Smelter Dragon. It's one of those things, a handmade hammer, or a hammer made by someone with a power hammer. A made hammer, as you say, is so different to using any kind of, kind of general purpose hammer that you pick up from a local hardware store. I never really thought about it, but then once I started using my own hammers, I cannot go back. I can't. I've tried. I can't. I'm obsessed. So, hey Jared, what is it with all of you dudes jumping on at work? You're gonna get yourselves fired. So yeah, I've got this 3-pound dog's head, and I have another one which has actually got an octagonal top, and that one will be going up for sale in the next couple of days as well. So if you want a 3-pound dog's head, then make sure to check out my Etsy store, because there will be, this one's already on there, and I really like this one. It's got a beautiful weight. The big thing with these are, the heavier the head, the easier they are to use, because dogs' heads aren't a physical force kind of hammer. They are a lift and drop kind of hammer. The head does the work. And so this, like the 3-pound dog's heads, are my favorite kind of dog's heads, because they do the work for you, and they do it beautifully. My English cutler's hammer that I made for myself with an ash handle is a perfect example of that, and I used that for the first time today, and it was beautiful. I loved it so much. I wanted to get a video of it, but I completely forgot because I was having so much fun. I used it to forge the blades on that on those Blacksmith's knives. If you guys saw that on my Instagram feed, you would have seen those. But yeah, a made hammer is always going to be better than a bought hammer, than one of those general bought hammers. A lot of it comes down to the way that they're ground. You can improve a bought hammer by crowning your edges, giving yourself a good crown on your edges. The other thing you can do, you can barely see it. This looks like it's got a flat face, but if I play the light on it a little bit, you can actually see that it's actually very slightly domed. Very slightly. Very, very lightly domed, and all of my hammers come that way. With the Bladesmith hammers, it's a little more obvious. I actually dome these just a little bit more. So the dome on these is a little bit more pronounced, but then that's because these are specifically used for blade beveling. And the domed face on any kind of hammer will improve your blacksmithing exponentially. And like I said, it has to be a very, very slight dome. You don't want to dome it to the point that it's looking like a rounding face on a rounding hammer, because that then, becomes a rounding hammer rather than a flat face. Like, the flat face on this rounding hammer is very ever so slightly domed, but then you've got the rounding face. And the dome means that you're going to get less chop marks or, divots in your work, depending on your hammer control, but yeah, it's going to generally mean less chop marks in your work. Yes, it is 2300. Alright, Ross, thank you very much for checking in. Yeah, I mean, rounding. My first hammer was one of those cheap shit cross pins that you get from Bunnings. What do they call them? Destruction hammers. Um, yeah, yeah, demolition hammer. That's the one. They're crap, but they work. Hey, Simon. Hello, hello to Germany. Hello from Australia. It is actually. You're the first person to correctly identify that. That is a matchlock musket rest. Unfortunately, I don't have the musket to go to. Ah, well, have fun, Pickled Hammer. Thanks for checking in, mate. Flux isn't illegal in Germany, but borax is illegal in Germany. There are many different kinds of flux. Silica sand is one of the oldest forms of flux. But you can actually purchase forging fluxes. Yeah, you can actually purchase forging fluxes in Germany as well. So make sure you check out local distributors of that kind of stuff. Borax is illegal in several countries, given its toxicity. People used to use it as a laundry detergent. No, it's not a. Well, I mean, technically it's a carcinogen, but most things are carcinogens. It's toxic. If you eat it, you will die. So don't eat borax. It's literally just boric acid. That's all it is. It's the same stuff that they use to get rid of moths and stuff like that. You know. Yeah. So you can forge Damascus without flux if you weld all of the seams. So if you make your billet up and then weld shut all the seams all around, get rid of all of the openings in the Damascus billet, then you can forge weld it without having to use flux, because the only reason that flux is needed is to get rid of oxygen. So if you block off the oxygen from the billet, then you don't have to use flux. So yeah, that is one way to get around using flux. It's just weld your seams. It takes a long time, but when you needs must. You can, if you're very good at controlling heat and your forge, you can actually forge weld without welding your seams, without using flux, by using a neutral fire in a gas forge. But that takes a lot of effort and a lot of control. Matthew Parkinson from Dragon's Breath Forge did a video on it. But yeah, that's probably one of the only ways that I can think of to do it without flux and without welding. Yeah, Simon, the only way to weld stainless steel to high carbon steel, you ever seen stainless steel, high carbon steel Sanmai? Carl B. Anderson is really famous for it. The only way to make that kind of stuff is to weld all around the seams, because stainless does not respond to flux, and the oxides that form on stainless at heat are impossible to move, and it rusts like that in a forge. So you've got to weld your seams. Yeah, canister Damascus also works. if you yeah, make a canister, fill it with powdered steel and whatever other kind of crap you want, and then weld up the other side. It's basically like welding the seams on a normal Damascus billet. Yeah, 1095 and 1520, you just weld the seams. Just want to block all the oxygen off, so make sure you clean your steel, grind it off, make sure it's perfectly clean, treat it with acetone, get all the oils off, then stack it up, weld it around, you'll be fine. You're very welcome. Always happy to pass out information. Whatever information I have, at least. Alright, cheers, Jared. Have a good one at work, mate. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to jump off. It's getting towards midnight now, and I've got a lot of work to do tomorrow to get packed for the event. Thank you for jumping in and saying hi. Don't forget to check out my video next Wednesday, and if you haven't already checked out the videos in my playlist, go check those out. I've got lots of blacksmithing videos making all different kinds of fun stuff, so make sure you check those out. I will see you when I see you. Hopefully Wednesday. But maybe Saturday. We'll see. Anyway, guys, I'll see you later.